Welcome to Fishing with Steve D. Well, I'm getting a few questions asking me to go through the label requirements that are on the pots and floats. So we're going to do this in this video and we're starting right now. Okay, so here we have our 3-entry $49 Red Claw pot. For Queensland only, you can use these funnel pots and are catching so many. So we're going to go through the labels today. So this is the size of labels, and you must, Queensland Fisheries says that you must always have a label to attach to the pot, and that's the real size, but we're going to for the filming purposes, I've made it a bit bigger. So when you're red claw yabby fishing in Queensland, you need to have, it says your surname, but I would put your full name. I had customers who had their pots confiscated by fisheries because they didn't have their first name on the label. So put both names, your first name and second name on there. Put your address with no street number, your suburb, and the new requirement is your postcode. I would even put the state there as well. Just the more you have on there, the better, because then there's no worries. So that must be attached to your pots, whether you're in a boat or whether you are land-based. So regardless of whether you're land-based or in the boat, that's the requirement on your red claw yabby pots. Now this is the confusing part. People are getting confused. Now the Queensland Fisheries rules and regulations, which I'll have a look towards the end of the video, I will link to what they say. They say just to put your surname, but I would actually put your first name as well. So the more you have on there, you won't have any issues. So your first name, your surname, your address without the street name, street number. So no street number, just your street, and your suburb, your state, I'll put on this one, and the postcode. Now that must be on all floats when you're red claw yabby fishing in Queensland. Now something extra that I do, I even put a label right next to the float. Now Queensland Fisheries say you don't have to do this, but I do it anyway because I don't want any issues. And like I said, the more you have the better, because then there's no problems. So I'll actually put that up near the float, and I'll have that also on the float. So this is when you're red claw yabby fishing in a boat. Now this is what Queensland Fisheries are saying. If you're land-based and you've got no float, your rope must be tied to a stationary object, whether it's a tree, a boat moored overnight, reeds, grass. It must be attached to a stationary object, and up at the end of the rope where it's tied, you must have a label. Now I just want to clarify something. So the Queensland Fisheries are just saying if you're land-based, you must have your surname on a label up near the end, which is tied to a stationary object. Now this is what the Queensland Fisheries are saying, just a label with your surname on. But I would actually go the extra mile, guys. I would go the extra mile, and I would put on your first name, your surname, your street. It doesn't have to have a number there. It's a personal choice. I put it really small. So your street, your suburb, your state, and your postcode. I actually go that extra mile, and I'll put this up near the end when I'm land-based. So like I said, the more you have the better, because then you have no problems. If fisheries come along, and depending who you get, they won't confiscate your pots. If you have the more the better, there's no worries, there's no issues. So this is the label I actually put on when I'm land-based as well. The more the better, guys. I hope this helps you, and I hope this covers the questions that a lot of our members are asking. Now I would like to talk about a very important issue. Now the Queensland Fisheries rules and regulations say you must have a round foam 150 mil or 15 centimetre float. It must be either a white or yellow. They're the only two colours. Now guys, jump onto the Fisheries Rules and Regulations website and Facebook page, because it clearly says this. You cannot use milk bottles, you cannot use pool noodles, especially not pool noodles, because they actually break down and harm the environment. It must be a round foam float that's 150 millimeters. Now, as promised earlier in the video, I said I would put what the Queensland Fisheries Facebook page says the requirements must be. So they say that the tag or the label on your pot must have a surname, but again, I would do it like I suggested earlier with your full name, the address. They say you must have the address on there, the street, the town, the state, and the postcode is the new one. This will be suffice. Now they also say that if you're land-based, a trap or the pot, red claw pot, must be tied to a stationary object. Must be tied above the waterline, and there must be a label if you're land-based, or a compliant float if you are out of a boat or kayak or canoe. Now I want to talk about touching other people's pots. Stealing other people's red claw is frowned upon by the Queensland Fisheries. Now you can be fined up to $10,000 if you are caught stealing other people's red claw pots, or selling them on the black market, taking money for a red claw at the pub or somewhere else. You're not supposed to do that. So your vehicle, your boat, and your fishing equipment can be confiscated, and you can actually go to jail up to 12 months if prosecuted. So don't steal and take and tamper with other people's red claw yabbies pots, and these things won't happen to you guys. However, you can donate to friends and family or community group, but just never ever take any money for them, and you'll be okay. Well, how about all that information? I hope you guys have taken that in, and you understand more now what the requirements are for red claw yabby fishing in Queensland. Now, if you're a New South Welshman, yabby fisherman, or a Victorian yabby fisherman, and you want me to feature your requirements as well, just put it in the comments. Yes, there will be videos coming in the future for you guys who are down south. There's some very interesting good news coming for you guys soon. Stay tuned, and I'll release that to all my social channels when the time's right. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you learned a stack of information how to do everything with the red claw yabbies in Queensland. This is Fisherman Steve D signing off. God bless.